What up, what up? Zach Bradshaw, long-winded guy, back with another dude talks about charts in his wife beater video. Um, so the charts right now are distracting me, and I just need to express this so I can get back to work. Um, so I gave someone a trading idea last night around 11 o'clock, and they kind of misinterpreted what I was saying. Obviously, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, blah, blah, blah. But just wanted them to, was giving them an example of what I was doing. So, for learning purposes or whatever. Now, I've marked up my charts a little bit more than before, just to try to help me remember certain things. It, I'm getting some of the way that I'm doing this from the way that Crown does it, but I don't think that he would set in the type of levels that I'm setting in, and he doesn't use like dotted lines or anything like that. And I'm now applying different thicknesses to these lines, kind of based on how relevant I feel that they are. And so trading ideas. So a lot of this extra markup was done on an hourly chart to denote different areas and basically to lay out a buy zone for however long Bitcoin wants to play out this area, like it played out this area. And I expect like this was a large range and a long consolidation in this area where it was basically, if I zoom out, you'll see um, it was playing out this range right here, from the bottom of this triangle to this line here, right? And it was coming down and going up and came down and went up, tried to come back down to it again, didn't make it, and then it shot back up. And now it's doing a consolidation in this area, and I expect this one to be shorter. And obviously it has a lesser percentage range. This one was about 25% from, depending on which way you take it, 25% down, 33% up, basically. And this one is a much smaller, let's just look at the percentage, something like 10%. Um, yeah, about 10% that way. And let's see the other way. Yeah, about 10% both ways. And it's not exactly the same both ways, but about the same at these levels, right? So when I put forth this trading idea, was basically what I said. It was around like 11 o'clock. And maybe I should have indicated the chart or whatever. But what I said was small buys make sense right now, especially on Bitcoin with recent wicks as your stop losses. So if you're buying in this little area right here, you can say if it goes below these wicks, then get me out because it's probably going to come down here to this level, or maybe to this level right here, maybe to this level, bounce a little bit, and then come down here to this level, whatever it does. But this was a trade idea to buy in here. At 11 o'clock last night is when I gave this, so sometime on this candle here. And then with these as a stop loss, so you're risking a potential, even if we do from the top of this candle, you're risking 3%, right? If you get out on that one. And then the trade idea, the positive side of it would be, let's say, even from the top of this candle to be conservative. So it's basically a 2-to-1 ratio of where you get it. And there's other tools if you're using something like Coinigy, where you can lay out your risk to reward ratio. So right here I have another tool that's similar to just the basic price range, but it basically has an upwards price range and a downwards price range. So it's showing, just from like the top of these candles, the top of these closes, it's showing a 5% plus gain and a potential uh, almost 4% loss. And that gives you a risk to reward ratio of 1.5, right? And you can do some math to say, okay, if this happens, it tends to give me a risk to reward ratio of this, and it tends to work out 60% of the time. I make this much if I use this as my rule to trade against, and that's kind of part of what this tool is. But any individual trade you can do this for. So this is looking at this range from the top of this candle, which is really being conservative, because you could have waited based on saying that, and if you understand how to get in at multiple positions, so maybe do a small buy here and save some for a small buy a little bit lower, maybe into this buy zone, or based on when some moving averages cross up or whatever. But let's say we move this down a little bit and you do get a better buy, let's say closer to the bottom of this large candle. And now we're looking at a 6.8% gain and only a 2% loss. And now we're looking at 2.5%, right? Or I'm sorry, a 2.51 risk to reward ratio. But really the target on this trade is not just the top of the range, so it does make sense to take some profit here, depending on your position size, etc. But for example, I got buys basically in the areas where I thought that they would be. On these two candles, one of these two candles, I think probably the first one, I think my first buy was probably on this candle. My second buys were probably on this one. And I bought at the first level that I thought it might come down to, that I mentioned in the video the other day. Tried to get in around 44.2. I think I got, 44.3 and then 44.2. And then it went down to where I thought like 37.8 or 37.6. Where was this level at? I mean, it hit it just about perfectly. The tops of these closes here. So yeah, 43.7, right? So 43.7 also bounced nicely off this. I think this is the 89 exponential moving average. Yeah, the 89 moving average. And I ended up buying as it bounced off of that, and it was moving quickly, and I was like, okay, that is clearly support based on the order book. And I went ahead and got in the second buy right here, which was a little bit lower than this first one, but was not in the 43s like I really wanted. But hey, that's fine, because wake up and Bitcoin's on the move. And this, as the afternoon, or as the morning progressed and the afternoon has progressed, we're just consolidating up here at the top. And my real targets, the reason I'm not taking profit on this though, I could set this in as a stop loss to sell if it goes below this wick. Potentially sell out of some of that position and potentially buy a little bit lower. Anywhere, I mean, because it ran up so strongly, it could easily come down to this area here, or maybe this area here, and still look healthy, right? Still look like it's probably going up, but it's consolidating at a high area. I'm not sure about this volume here, but it's still sitting and holding up at the top of this range, and maybe I'll end up drawing in I'll just do it for right now. Let's throw in another horizontal here and make it thin, because I'm not sure how much it matters. And maybe there's a zone here that this one could be in based on some closes going on in this area, or I could zoom out and maybe find something really more suitable on the 4-hour chart. But right, this just happened 2 hours ago, so just wait, right? But the actual target for this trade is actually not here, which is why I'm not getting out. It's actually here for a 5-to-1 risk to reward ratio. And based on the trading idea that I put forth last night, it was slightly misinterpreted to where basically what he said was that he has some buys if it goes above 49. And that gives you a not quite as good a risk to reward ratio if I were to move this up. But in actuality, depending on how quickly this thing moves up, I may, right, if it goes up here and wants to consolidate, looks like it wants to come down and play a range, I may try to sell out closer to the top, similar to this sell here that was, right, I sold in this 46 area. To buy back lower. Didn't quite get my 43 buy, but sold some to buy back 5% lower, so that next time it comes back to that same price, I'm higher than I would have been otherwise, right? So I folded over a small portion of my stack here, not even like a quarter of it or whatever. I mean, a very small portion of it. And then I also sold out some Ethereum just because I trust the Bitcoin chart a little bit better. I'm not sure which one is about to perform better in the next little area. or in the next little period of time, but I don't like the way that this looks. If I was trading this chart, and this is the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart, I don't trade this chart. I'm not used to how it moves, so I'm not sure, but I sure as crap don't like this pattern that I'm seeing here. Uh, And so just for me, it made more sense to move some Ethereum over into Bitcoin in order to, trade the thing that I'm more confident in my ability to get out, see where the top is going to be, and be able to buy again or do whatever I need to do. But the real targets for this trade for me are up here in the 60s. So really, my risk to reward ratio on this is a 10 to 1 or a really strong trade. It's just I like to trade, right? I drew these on the hourly chart, and part of this is because I've been hearing Crown say that as when Bitcoin is in trending mode, the lower term time frames tend to get things better. And I've been drawing some great zones and been able to get some really good buys by watching the 1 hour chart, even though I don't really, right? I'm looking, this is the chart I like to trade. So let me get rid of this crap. I like the 12-hour chart. And the 6 hour in combination with it, if I pull up Crown's full spread here, so I get the stochastics. The 12-hour stochastic crosses have been like running the market. When these things cross to where the blue goes above the pink, it usually means great things. You can see it run in the market, right? This was a move right here that it faked you out going back down a little bit, and it came down. You could get another buy, but there's a nice pop, right? If you're matching up this down here with what's happening on the chart up here, you can get some good buys. And really, in terms of the stochastic cross, the 6 hour has really been running things, especially to the upside. So every time this thing turns up, you have a nice little move. So, right, if we do the price range here, right, so this turned up here, and give me my thing, turned up here, tried to give you a little fake out in here that, I mean, it's still a 10% move, right? It doesn't look like much compared to the whole chart, but that's a 10% move that you could have bought and sold. Went a little bit higher and, maybe could have got 12% or a little bit higher if you could sell that wick. Selling wicks on a chart like this is not easy, but this is a 6 hour chart, so it's more likely than if this was a shorter term time frame. And then you have other ones. Sorry for the jump cuts. I suck at doing this. Suck at manipulating coinage like this. But so you have another one here where this turns up and you get a 22% move. You could have caught the downside on this one as well. But then we have another one that we can say the Stokes turned up here on the 6 hour. And let's see where they turn back down. So they turn back down for a 15% move. I mean, really, you could have held in here. If you had strong hands or you understood, you had some other signals, like for example, these moving averages that seem to be cushioning the price. But this one, let's just go to this last one. This one that I believe my face is probably in the way. This one where the blue comes above the purple, right, all the way to the top up here, you have another 22% move. And this 6 hour looks like it's just crossed up again. So, it could play out different ways. Some of these can be to a degree like a little bit of a fake out, right? But I mean, that's not a fake out. I mean, if you traded it till it turned back down on this one, it wasn't as good a trade as the other ones. But even this smaller one that didn't go from the bottom to the top of the range, you say it crossed about right here. And let's just put it on this candle in the body so it's conservative, and then trading to this cross, so that would be on this candle. I mean, that's still a 5-6% trade. And let it turn back down and be able to buy down here what looks like 8% lower or something like that. So if I turn this around, 6% lower, right? If we do it on the bodies, maybe a little bit conservative. If we do it from the tippity tops, we're definitely looking at 8 or 9%, right? So that's why I like to trade the higher term time frames. At first, I mean, it was something that Crown was pointing out, that the 12-hour Stokes were running the market, or run Bitcoin pretty well. But then, I noticed that the 6-hour seemed to do it even better. And so I like to draw my charts on the 12-hour, because it lets me like keep perspective on these smaller moves, even though like Bitcoin likes to give you uh, a 20% daily candle. But the longer term time frames, what is the percentage on this candle? Goodness gracious. Yeah, okay, about a 20% because it was higher, in the price. So um, now that I'm looking at this, this is an extremely powerful 12-hour that if it closes, right, we still have 5 hours on this candle. But if it closes anywhere up here, I would expect tomorrow, or I would expect Bitcoin to go up very short. I mean, probably overnight or something like that. And that may or may not be the case. But I will be looking at the charts around 7 o'clock to see where this thing closes. And potentially could signal okay, maybe it's time to sell a little bit of my profit, off of these nice, beautiful buys that I had last night for a easy 8%. If I wanted to sell those percentages right now, and I could sell when I would make the sell, I'll probably not just sell out of this trade. I would probably sell out of some of my positions from down here, um, just in order to lock in profit from those areas. Because when Bitcoin turns around, we're going to have several, lower lows and lower highs that, I don't want to eat too much of those moves. I don't want to be able to buy those dips, sell them as they start to peak back up, and then progressively sell out more of my position until when Bitcoin wants to come down to the 20s or the 30s or the 40s, depending on how high it goes up, will determine how low it comes back down. But when it comes back down, I want to have cash on the side to buy back again, buying the dip. So I guess that's it for this one. Just wanted to lay out these trading ideas and kind of show you my last positions that I got into. Part of that involved, again, getting out of Ethereum for, basically at my same position that I was at. I bought at 1740 and sold out at like 1720 for like a small percentage loss, just so I could get back into Bitcoin because I know what's happening on this chart. More than I can tell what's happening on Ethereum, where I just keep drawing stupid wedges that I don't have any real belief in. But I like to just look at the candles before I start to use the moving averages and stuff like that on a chart. So I'm just gonna watch this for a while, since I have some of my money in it and I need to pay good attention to it, as well as watching this chart, which, right, this one is, I have no clue what's about to happen next with this one because on the closes, it's making higher highs and lower lows at the same time. And right, you could also draw it differently and put in, say, no, it's flat. It's coming down here to the bottom if you're just looking at the wicks. And this one may be a chart where I need to look at the wicks more than I need to look at the closes. But in this case, it's like the same pattern, but it's oriented up, and I have no idea how these are supposed to break out. It's not a very common pattern anyway, so I don't think there's much efficacy. It just means, oh, I have no idea what's going on with this. I don't really want to um, like hedge my bets or whatever with Ethereum, thinking, okay, well, it could go up 3x or whatever in whatever amount of time while Bitcoin's chilling, in a range. So, like, let me get into it. But when it comes to trade, like, it just makes me uncomfortable because I have no idea what the chart's doing. And this one is not helping much. It's actually making me like, oh, maybe just stick to Bitcoin and watch these charts. Because I got some good positions. They were easy trades. I'm in profit now. I could set a stop loss all the way down here, and I would have made money on Ethereum, from my buys down here. Like, it's appetizing to get a piece of like altcoins that could pop more, but Ethereum's not even one of those that is likely to do like a 10x or something like that, quickly, like some of these smaller coins that, like, hey, one person puts in 10 mil and that thing's about to pop, because so few people are in it. So I'm not that appetized by this one compared to Bitcoin, but may look into some other altcoins and trade in them with a grain of salt in terms of looking at the charts, because I think those altcoins are much more, their price is much more dictated by marketing, and viral things that go on with altcoins. So that's it for this one. Trading idea for Bitcoin. Nice little trade as it played out overnight. And I could cash out here, but I think it's my target is actually higher than that. This is the first target, and right, so like, okay, so it reached this target. I did not sell. I may use a line like this. I would need to look a little bit deeper, but I may use a line like this to determine my stop loss. So, ooh, right down here, I had a stop loss that's like, if this goes against me, that's a true definition of a stop loss. You stop your losses. If this goes against me, I'm just going to take this 3% loss and get out. Now, in order to make sure that you keep your profit, you can move that stop loss up. So you call it a rising stop, or there's probably different terms for it. But that means that, right? So if I sold from the bought at the bottom, sold at the top, I make 10%. But if I bought at the bottom and sold here, then I still make 7%. And it could play out, to come down into an area like this. It could play out to come down to an area like this, or it could reject completely and start to, figure out a new bottom, right? So this as a rising stop level, is potentially appetizing because it keeps me with 75% of my gains in this trade, while also leaving me exposed to further upside potential, and those 10-to-1 risk to reward ratios that are, what make a trader's week or year or whatever amount of time, depending on how big their stack is and how good the specific trade is. So that's it for this one. Trading idea. It's looking good right now. Already in the money, and it's going to be hard for me to lose money on this one. Much better than playing this breakout trade, because I can also get out of this one for a gain, and then have a potential another buy for another bounce or longer form consolidation, or be able to sell out a larger portion of my stack with a short-term gain on top of it. All those things are open to me because I've tried to buy the bottom, right? You don't want to try to catch falling knives, but if you see levels that look like they make sense, that price might come down to, setting in a limit there as opposed to a limit buy at the top, is, a better trade, or leaves you open to a better trade because the percentages are much better. Even if you are buying at 49%, or I'm sorry, 49,000. Keep saying this video is over, but right, if you're buying at 49,000, goes up to, let's just say 61 is another area that I'm looking at, 25%. But if it was from down here, it's almost 40%, right? And so that's really what I'm exposing, what I'm trying to get exposure to. The reason that I put my money back in right here, even though this could be a top, right? Which meant that my sell at 46 could be an excellent sell, and maybe should be a fatter sell if this is the actual top and is going to go back down. Thus, the new stops at about 46. So let me know if you have any questions on this one, Henry, anybody else that may watch this, and yeah, see you in the next one. Peace.